Hi there, Pyrrho. Yeah, I mean, I take your point completely that the epicycles are a description of lived experience every bit as much as Newtonian physics are a description of experience. They're both descriptions. My point, I guess, would be that one has greater applicability. We know that. I mean, in a sense, when you were championing quantum physics, which I completely support, of course, the reason why I think that's powerful is not because it represents a reality that Newtonian physics only approximate, but because it has a wider application. You know, it's capable of describing in more detail a greater range of phenomena, including the things that are normally described by Newtonian physics and so on. But yeah, in terms of epicycles, or just in terms of, you know, standing on the face of a planet looking at the sun go overhead, yes, it's an absolutely valid description. The sun does rise, the sun passes overhead and the sun sets. That's an accurate description. And, you know, maybe ontologically it's no different from, let's say, a Newtonian description of the movement of the stars and planets. They're both descriptions. The difference is that one has a greater range of applicability. I mean, another example I've used in a previous video, although it was a while back, was to do with flat Earth. You know, I'm standing in a field here looking, it's pretty damn flat. Look, see how flat this is. Cheshire. Cheshire's like this. It's pretty flat. To all intents and purposes, I live on a flat planet. You know, if I lay carpets for a living, or if I design houses and have to lay out the foundations, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, I don't take the curvature of the Earth into account. I don't need to know that. My description of this planet as being essentially flat does the job fantastic. And I think similarly with some of the other examples that you kicked around there. And possibly the same with will. I mean, you know, will is absolutely fine as a description of what it feels like to make choices and what it feels like to be an embodied consciousness doing various things in this kind of scale, in this kind of world. And, you know, and there's the arguments for its psychological usefulness. What I don't see any arguments for is either its psychological or ontological reality, or whatever that means, nor do I see its wider applicability. You know, will does not feature in any discourse other than the phenomenological discourse of what it feels like to be alive and awake, and kind of philosophical versions of that. You know, there is no will in science. There is no will in any of that stuff, in psychology even. You know, most psychology doesn't include the concept of the will. As I say, it's an artifact, I guess, and a component in a kind of discourse which is very, very limited, which is just limited to what it feels like to be a human being, a phenomenological discourse. In the same way that the Earth is flat is a phenomenologically appropriate thing to say, or the sun rises and sets is a phenomenologically appropriate thing to say. I just don't think we get very far with that, really. I think we need to, you know, as long as we stay within the realm of that, it's kind of fine. But as soon as we step outside of that, there's nothing to say about it, really, I don't think.